Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. This video is key. It is about heart, and it's also about the wordplay around Simon, Simeon, Peter, and Niger. Believe it or not, the word Niger is in the Bible in Acts. We'll get to that. So first, let's talk about heart. 1 Samuel 13:13. You have done a foolish thing, Samuel said. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. But now your kingdom will not endure. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart and appointed him ruler of his people because you have not kept the Lord's command. So what happened to Saul's line, right? His royal line, he has a son named Jonathan, for example, is replaced by David. And eventually Solomon will come after David, and then the kingdom, gets split into two parts, right? Judah and the kingdom of Israel. So what is being said here by Samuel is that God has sought out a man after his own heart. After his own what? After his own heart. And David faces Goliath, what have you, in 4 chapters later, 1 Samuel 17. So this is before David faces Goliath, and Saul is leading the troops in various battles, what have you. Okay, so now let's see what it means to have heart, shall we? So we go to Proverbs 27:19. As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. One's life reflects the heart. As water reflects the face, right? The water of life. A lot of times you see it in people's faces, but there's all kinds of technologies these days they use to trick people, and it's very silly what they're doing. Even though we know from their identity, we know from various ways, they still try to use technology to confuse you about who is more righteous and who. And they've used technology to change, believe it or not, slightly change the structure of my body to make it so it looks gayish and Jewish and whitish and so on and so forth. Even though I'm part white, I had a certain type of body that was profoundly respectable, that not only age has changed a little bit, but their poisons and fumes and whatever technologies they've injected into the situation. Okay. Let's go to, there's all kinds of heart ones that are key here. For example, it says heartache crushes the spirit. Okay, and that is very key here. And also, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline will drive it away. So you have to be this warrior man, right? Not some kind of child, not some kind of sissy child. To be right with God, and you have to be in the divine order. Obviously, you shouldn't be cheating me out of my right to lead. So in Proverbs 16:1, it says, to humans belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the proper answer of the tongue, or the actions. Actions speak louder than words. The next verse says, all a person's way may seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. It says, all a person's way seem pure to them, but motives are weighed by the Lord. So the Lord weighs the motives. But what else does the Lord weigh? We see in Proverbs 17, which is the next chapter, verse 3, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord weighs the heart. The Lord weighs the heart. The Lord weighs the motives. And one's life reflects the heart, which goes back to my 15,000 plus videos. It goes back to my legal and peaceful outdoor sparring top martial arts challenge. Okay, it goes back to me insisting on universal pinpointing moral precision and focused moral intensity, while everyone else wants you to disassociate, and they lie and they play contrast games, saying, hey, this person does this and I don't do that, to say that they're innocent, but they don't have moral precision, moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic precision. They don't insist on true romantic justice. Instead, they reinforce the construct or whatever cult game they're playing. Some kind of helicopter flying close here, so I'm going to stop it for a second. Okay, so we get to Proverbs 21:1, where it says, in the Lord's hand the king's heart is a stream of water that he channels to all who please him. Not the king of England or Jordan or Saudi Arabia, okay? Proverbs 16:12 tells us the one whose throne is established in righteousness. New Living Translation, justice. That is me. Okay? As opposed to somebody whose heart is raging against the Lord. Okay? Proverbs 19:3, a person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their heart rages against the Lord. We go to Proverbs 22:4. It says, the one who loves a pure heart and who speaks with grace will have the king for a friend. So the righteous one has a pure heart. He has pure motives. Okay, he has life work to reflect it. Okay, the root and offspring of David, right? The top martial artist. We'll get to that. Matter of fact, since I'm almost out of time, let's get to that now. We see in Proverbs 25:26, it says, like a muddied spring or polluted well is the righteous who give way to the wicked. So the water has to be pure, the pure water of life. As water reflects the face, right? Is the person in a righteous and pure spirit? Or are they simply using kind of Western technology, for example? You know, big corporations, white Jew, token minority, LGBT corporation technology to try to look, you know, decent while they sabotage the masses and play stupid about various things like climate change and what exactly is going on and why and so on and so forth. So we go to the book of Acts, chapter 13. This part is key because it points right to me. I brought up before that in Amos 9:7 it says, are you not the same as the Cushites unto me, O children of Israel? The Cushites, and Ham begot Cush. Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod founded Babylon and was a mighty hunter and a mighty warrior before the Lord. That's what it says in Genesis 10. And I said of the Cushites, right? You know, Ham has specific expressions, right? The Cushites are more like Nigerians than, say, Mizraim or Canaan, okay? You look at the locations, right? The Cushites are the ones who live in southern Egypt, and they lived in Sudan and so on and so forth. And they had tribal representatives of people from all over Africa, including Nigeria. The Cushites include Nigerians because they're referring to that region which had various people of black African descent, including people who were inevitably more closely related to people like me than the other people there. So of the Cushites, the people who are more like Nigerians, certain warrior Nigerians, were the bell that rings the loudest. And in Acts 13, they subtly and otherwise point to Niger, and Nigeria is right by Niger. Okay, so Niger and Nigeria can be seen as the same in a sense. So it says, now in the church at Antioch, there were prophets and teachers, Barnabas, Simeon called Niger, Lucius of Cyrene, Manaen, and Al. Okay, now let's stop here. Where have I seen the name Simeon before? Well, perhaps it's somewhere else in the Bible, I don't know. But I have seen the name Simon in key places. One is that Jesus called Simon Peter. He said, you, Simon, will now be called Peter, because you are the rock. On this rock, we will build this church. Right? Paraphrasing. On this rock, right? Because Peter literally means rock. Like Moses means to draw out. Okay, Jacob means to supplant, if I'm not mistaken, means to overreach, what have you, seize by the heel, things like this. So these names have meaning that are part of the story. So Simeon, right, is like the word Simon. And we see at times, like Joseph, you know, Joses is a variation of Joseph. You see Jesus is a variation of Joshua. We see these names are connected in certain ways. And in the footnotes on Bible Gateway, it flat out says that Rahab is a cryptogram for Egypt, if I'm not mistaken here. It's been a while since I got over that. We know there's cryptograms, and logic would tell you there's anagrams. So we see that Simeon is a play on words for Simon. And Simeon is called Niger. Now, if you don't believe me, you'll believe me when I say this. The one who helped Christ carry his cross, okay, is Simon. So the one who helped Christ carry his cross was Simon of Cyrene. So why here in Acts 13, verse 1, does it say that Simeon called Niger, okay, was one of the teachers? And then in the next part, it says Lucius of Cyrene. So it says Barnabas, Simeon called Niger, Lucius of Cyrene. Lucius is like the word Lucifer. Now, it's not because Simeon magically is a Luciferian. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that he was a prophet and a teacher, or a teacher. That's what it's saying. And he's so notable that they bothered to mention who it is. Okay? So when we see Lucius of Cyrene, you see Simon of Cyrene who carried the cross, and you see Simeon, also called Niger, and it's connected, right? It's right there in the same verse. So the word Lucius is like the word Lucifer. So if we take the L-U-C-I, and we remove it, and we're left with the F-E-R, or fear, or F-ear, or F-air, like an air. Okay? And we with the Lucius, we're left with us. So we get fear us, or F-ear us, or F-air, like an air us. You see how that works? Lucius and Lucifer, right? The last part. Remove the Lucy part, which they have in common, right? Like Masons would say, the wordplay and the commonalities. You remove the Lucy part, you get fear and us. Okay, now, was the Klan terrorizing the black community, or was it the other way around? And did they dress up as people of the church, right? They're from various Protestant churches, and we see that in the Catholic Church they have they have outfits that are similar to the Klan outfit. Look it up. So we can ascertain that sticks and stones break bones, right? Simon is called the Rock, Peter, the Rock. Okay? Simon of Cyrene, who helped carry Jesus' cross, helped carry these large sticks, right? Sticks and stones will break your bones. It's part of their popular culture mockery. Those who are mocking God. So Simeon called Niger, Simon of Cyrene, Simon Peter. The cross, the rock to build the church, and Niger being pointed to. Niger meaning black. It's not a coincidence. There's other things there like Osiris, right? Serapis, one of the fake images of Christ. Serapis, right? Osiris, Hades, and Apis. Okay? Behold a pale horse, and on him sat death, and hell followed with him. As the world's being transformed into hell, right? Osiris is said to be the Lord of the black. Hades is the Lord of the underworld. And Apis, right, connects to various bulls and the golden calf and so on and so forth. So it's the Antichrist right there coded in. So what it's saying is that Christ is going to come from Nigeria. Niger or Nigeria. That's what it's saying. From black people. Why? How did I come to this conclusion? How did I ascertain this? Well, you have to look at the details. Who is Simon of Cyrene? He carried the cross. Who is Simon Peter? He said, on this rock you will build the church. And we see in Revelation the churches and the lampstands. And Christ is walking among the lampstands. And we see the kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you and will be given to a people who will produce its fruit. Well, Simeon was a righteous teacher. Amos 9:7 says, are you not the same as the Cushites? Nimrod is a mighty warrior for the Lord. The heavenly warrior defeats the beast. Who would God choose? And we look at popular culture. Does it line up with the greater tree of black people? Martin Luther King. There's something to be said about Malcolm X and Mandela, even though they're not Christians, because we're looking for righteousness. If they make a mistake, okay. If we're looking for a big cat, we look amongst, the biggest cats, we look among big cats, right? They don't have to be perfect for them to be breadcrumbs pointing to the way. It's even called breadcrumbs and the bread of life. So who fits the parable of the 10 minas? Who fits the parable of the lost pearl and the parable of the bag of gold? Well, it goes back to Niger and Nigeria, and it goes back to me. It points to me as the one that Christ returns as. Now keep in mind, for those of you who are skeptical, it says the kingdom of heaven will be taken away. It said there's no Jew or Gentile. God talked to Moses in a burning bush, did he not? A donkey rebuked one of these guys in the Bible, did it not? So God can use lightning and water and fire and storm. But you think he cannot use the son of a Nigerian to be Christ in the end? The evidence is overwhelming. You know them by their fruit. So we see here the Lord weighs the heart. And of the he-art, the bell that rings the loudest, even when you look at Hollywood, is Africans, right? Who's like the Black Panther in the comic books, in the comic book based movies? He doesn't have a super soldier serum. He doesn't have a special armor suit. It's his natural ability that really is the bell that rings the loudest. You see the Black Panther movie, right? There's African martial arts. Okay, Satan is the god of this world, and he's covered up African martial arts. When's the last time you've seen an African martial arts school in your city? You see all kinds of fake Christian martial arts, right? American martial arts. You see Buddhist and Shinto martial arts, right? Samurai stuff, karate, taekwondo. When's the last time you've seen an African martial arts school? Now, why would the people that's the most athletic from being the best at martial arts historically not have a martial arts school? Unless Satan, who's said to be the god of this world, is suppressing it. And they have the nerve to turn around and try to pretend that Nimrod magically was a bad person. Unbelievable. Even if you believe that, you still, they don't doubt that he was a mighty warrior for the Lord. And we see the Jews turning their backs on the prophets every step of the way. So if you were God Almighty and the warrior ending is about to come, would you choose the greatest warrior people who are the most devout to God? Would you choose one of them? Of course, because God is known and exalted by his justice, and the throne is established in righteousness and justice. Thank you.